Oh, I have a cheap price to earnings ratio. Oh, hey guys. What's up? Welcome back to the channel. This is Tom. I've been reading a little bit too much of Dead Companies Walking, and it's kind of getting in my head a little bit. So I need to unload on you guys so I can avoid the zombie state that a lot of companies get into. Scott Ferran, this is his book. He's beaten the market by several percentage. He's had an 11% track record since 1991. And in his book, he talks about frauds, fads, and failures. We talked a little bit about fads in the previous video, and they're good. Frauds are rare. They sometimes take a long time to play out, as I'm learning with GSX. We're not even going to get into that, but the failures are usually the reason that a stock goes down. Now, there could be many reasons for failure. Could be the too much growth, too much debt. But what I want to look at here is these melting ice cubes, these dying industries that are value traps. A lot of times they still have some growth, they still have some earnings, so they look very cheap, but they turn out to be terrible investments. For example, in 2008, Scott looked at Yellow Pages, and this is 2008. You got to realize people, smartphones were even starting to be a thing by then, and yet he was sitting here saying, "Oh, people are going to they're going to use the web a little bit, but really the heartland of America is going to continue to use the hard Yellow Pages book." No. And this guy just tried to convince him for an hour that was the case. The stock went bankrupt, came back as another company in 2010 called Super Media, and it was still trading at $20 in 2013. Imagine that, Yellow Pages trading at $20 in 2013. Another one, beepers, pagers. In 1999, this is after cell phones were already light and cheap and everything else. The CEO was saying, "Oh, well, they have better battery life," and he said people are going to want to carry a phone and a pager because it's more convenient. Not sure where he got that, but he was thinking doctors, and doctors probably still do carry pagers to a degree because they're smaller and everything. But no, pagers obviously were on their way out, but yet the management had their head in the sand, and that's a common theme you see in these industries. A lot of times the management does not see the writing on the wall. Now, even if they did, it would be hard for them to turn the ship around, but a lot of times they don't even see it. For example, the third one would be Blockbuster. Blockbuster, we've heard the story. I don't need to go too much into detail. Obviously, Netflix crushed them, but in 2007, after their earnings were already declining, Ferran met with the CEO or one of the executives, and she said, "Oh, we're going to turn it around by selling movie merchandise and candy and everything in the aisles." That was not enough to change things. I don't even know if it slowed the decline. So, as we talked about with the capital cycle, even smart guys like Marathon Capital Management, they do get burned sometimes by saying, "Oh, the supply side has gotten better," but that's not enough. You've got to make sure you're not in one of these dying industries. They say here, with hindsight, our capital cycle approach has failed at times when we have underestimated the impact of industries of political and legal interference, but also disruptive technologies and globalization. And we're in that disruptive time right now. We've got Tesla and we've got Teladoc, and everybody's thinking about how is the world going to change. So it's a time to really consider what things today are going to be disrupted. I'm thinking about the oil and gas industry. Obviously, people are looking at renewable energy. Now, the problem with that thesis is that we're still to make plastics, which are a big part of electric cars and even a big part of other things. You're still going to need a lot of oil and gas. Now, the problem with oil and gas is the debt levels, growth for growth's sake, had really gotten out of control in addition to the sentiment. So it still is an almost uninvestable, now I didn't say tradable, but uninvestable space unless you really can find something out of the way that that's a good value. But the sentiment is terrible. Probably needs some more consolidation in the oil and gas space. But it's not, if it is a melting ice cube, it's melting very, very slowly. Now, one that's more interesting would be radio stocks. There's still several radio stocks. iHeartMedia, that sounds just like something that is not going to survive the age of Spotify and the age of streaming and everything. We'll see, but I think people want something that's more tailored to their taste. Next would be newspaper stocks. Now, there are some newspaper. The only newspaper that's actually figured out how to really make money digitally is the New York Times. There's some other ones though that are so cheap, like the Dallas Morning News, that I actually own this one because it's basically net. They've got time, they've got a lot of cash to turn it around. It's just a small little position, but that industry is on its way out. It's so you just want to be careful if you are going to invest in something that's a dying industry. You want to have a long runway of time for them to turn it around based on low debt and a lot of cash reserves and hopefully a management vision for actually doing something and changing things. TV, current TV, if you've seen the stats, younger people don't watch TV. Look at what you're doing. You're watching YouTube. You're not watching CNBC. And, that's a pretty low bar to clear a lot of times. All the commercials and all the hype and, it's all the nonsense that you get on regular TV. So stocks like Viacom and those other things could be melting ice cubes. So anyway, just wanted to give y'all a quick video on melting ice cubes, dead companies walking. Let me know down below if you know of some. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.